Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Hearthstone. So, despite spending almost 30 minutes playing Shaman cards last recording, we still need to play 6 more Shaman cards. So let's go ahead and hop into that. Once we played 6, we can go ahead and concede the casual game and move on to the next step. I'm not sure which one it is, but it's either the Screen Actors Guild or uh, Emmys, the SAGs, Emmys, or some Oscars. One of those things is happening right now for TV and movie, and boy, do I not recognize any of the things that were awarded uh, or even nominated. I am so far from watching TV. I recently realized, just last night actually, realized that it's been over 3 years since I've watched serious TV as far as the Sci-Fi Channel, and I was specifically obsessed with the Sci-Fi Channel when it first came out. Now, honestly, there's in its probably 15-year history or so of existing, it's barely gotten 5 seasons worth of good shows, and they all get canceled and never go anywhere, which is originally probably why I stopped watching it probably about 5 years ago. But there was a period after my first breakup with it that I decided to come back and check a couple more things on it. The Magicians, I suppose, is one series that, again, probably will just get canceled. So, not need to probably get too obsessed about that. Maybe Netflix will change things there because The Magicians is now on Netflix, and that might be a license rescue. The other thing that certainly has changed in the past 10 years as far as TV is that it was all sitcoms and dramas and other things that were on the big three: NBC, CBS, Fox, and ABC. Whereas now it is a lot more. It's a lot more sci-fi things like Agents of Shield, Sleepy Hollow. I could probably name a couple more. Once Upon a Time. The all those things weren't on the main channels. They were considered niche, and nerd culture has certainly grown and changed and all that. In a similar way, I changed my cable provider and got rid of BBC America before the Doctor Who Christmas special, but from what all I saw was that the Doctor Who Christmas special was awful, and there really was nothing else on the channel for an entire year that really justified its value. So that's another avenue. G4, of course, Tech TV and G4 were a big part of my life for a couple of years, and then they fell apart. And let's see,
blood and plunder.
and way long time ago, I was into watching WWE, or WWF is what it started as when I was watching it. And so that too is just yet another thing I got rid of. Hopefully I played enough cards there. There we go. 3 rewards in a row. And we're over 5,000 gold. But in general, I've been less and less time watching TV, more and more time watching Netflix. Let's see, I need to win 5 games with the Druid or Hunter, or the Priest and Warlock. Let's try the Druid. We haven't played the Druid in a while. So a taunt deck with the Druid. Let's try that. More and more, I suppose, video games might be taking up slightly more time in my life. I've never played as much video games as I have since I started doing this YouTube channel, certainly, but that's more only the case now that I've been doing it for 2 years consistently. There definitely have been periods where I've gotten obsessed with one game or two games and played it like crazy, but not as much as this. But that certainly makes sense. This is my job, even if it doesn't pay, and it should be close to 8 hours a day, even if I don't actually accomplish 8 hours a day. And TV in general has just always been bad. We just haven't had opportunities to do anything else. So it was either watch TV, listen to a record, listen to the radio, read a book, and lots of people would rather just watch TV. And personally, I'm getting to the point where I feel I could just completely remove television, get the locals via antenna. I'm in an area where if I stuck an antenna outside of my house, it would work. There's a new one at CES that also streams to your Wi-Fi, which means if you can stick that one outside on a pole out and get all the signals really well, then you're pretty good. You would lose DVR functionality though, because no streaming box that comes out of the box has also the ability to record, and that would be a big loss. So more than likely it would still be easier to just have the locals on DirecTV. I mean, I don't have DirecTV, I have Dish. What am I saying? But I wonder if I could get away with that. I wonder, can I say, I don't want any package at all, just the locals? That, I think they probably wouldn't allow that, because then I'd probably only be paying like $20 a month, and that's not enough money for them to make sense there. To get back to video games, we have several Resident Evil 7 things. Let me see if I can get them all next to each other here. A modder has made the Resident Evil 7 demo third person, which is kind of interesting in the fact that the clothes they chose for the characters are all there. Doesn't seem like the character you're playing in the demo is specifically dressed up as anything than an average person in an average white button-down shirt and pants. His head is completely missing because that would be the camera of the game. But interestingly enough, when I was watching the video, the shadow of a head still plays. So if there's a light source behind you, the model that casts a shadow is different than the model that is actually in the game, which probably means there's some double rendering there, but that's hardly enough evidence to say it's not going to run well or anything like that. It's just an interesting factor. The next thing about Resident Evil 7, though, is that a magazine for video games has come out and said something very interesting. Do I want to kill this guy with this, or do I want to discard? Let's do that. I'm looking for wins now. So GamesTM has a quote on their magazine, and they put out this picture themselves, and it says Resident Evil 7 is quieter, weirder, and smaller than anything that has come out in recent memory. Which, on the face of it, is not a good statement at all. That is an awful thing to say about any game. So, Resident Evil is quieter. And that kind of makes sense as a spooky game. Like, it's not going to be a bunch of zombies like Resident Evil 4 or 5 or even 6, that piece of garbage that was, where the zombies are going to be screaming and there's a lot of yelling and a lot of gunshots. Sure, it's like a horror movie. It's going to be slow and quiet. Quieter is not the problem. Weirder. Now that's slightly an issue because Resident Evil has been pretty consistently weird up to this point anyways. So how could it be even weirder? And looking at people playing the demos, it does kind of have this whole Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe to it, with some weirdos in the house. But then smaller. That's not good either. So you're saying the game is quiet, it's smaller, and it's weirder. None of those things are good. And this is what I feared, particularly the one way they could screw it up amongst all the people who have said they've really liked Resident Evil 7 as far as they've seen it extra. And they're saying it's quieter, smaller, and weirder than anything in recent memory. So if you take that to the face value, that means it's quieter and smaller than the quietest and smallest game that you could find on Steam.
For the wild.
Because they're not comparing it to other Resident Evil games, they're comparing it to every single game ever existed. So 5-minute games, tiny little demo games, it does not, it just really feels like a bad quote, and that was the best they could say about it. And yeah, like I was trying to say, was if Resident Evil 7 is going to turn out to be awful based on all the people saying it seems really cool, it's going to happen because the game is going to turn out to be super short. Let's see.
Time's up. Let's do this.
This and this.
Weapons ready.
And this and this.
For the wild.
Job's done.
Discard 10 mana crystals. Gain 10 mana crystals. Discard your hand. So yeah, that's really scary, and that's probably the way, if RE7 turns out to be garbage, is the way it's going to be really good, but it's only going to be an hour long, or 2 hours long, or 5 hours long even. I'd guesstimate probably closer to 5 hours. They wouldn't put a number on it. And the Resident Evil series has been up and down on quality. And the 2 latest games have kind of sucked. The other RE game announcement we have here is that there's an official Resident Evil 7 4D candle out there, which one can only assume has the worst smelling, the worst possible smelling smell that you could imagine.
For the wild.
Let's see.
Weapons ready.
Job's done.
Restore health to either this one or this one. Oops, that was not helpful. So there you have another gimmick of a 4D candle. No smell-o-vision or anything like that, but it's effectively smell-o-vision from a candle. And you have to wonder, maybe did Capcom just have some contract with a candle maker, or do they make candles?
Don't forget to tip your
So I still have to be very down on it as a series. I can't be happy with the way with blindly running into that game thinking it's going to be great. I wish it was going to be, but I just don't have the faith. And I hope I'm proven wrong. And anyways, that's the RE stuff. Let's move on to the next thing I have listed and look at our clock just to see how long we're going. If we're gonna try to finish everything here or go for another recording. Really don't have a ton of things to talk about, though. I haven't been playing very many games. I've been just sitting around sleeping and suffering with insomnia.
All realities. For the wild.
So, yeah, there's a new NVIDIA Shield model out. NVIDIA Shield TV model, I guess is what its full name is. Apparently it's better than the first version, and it should have been what the Slingbox was originally. Me personally, never gonna really have a use for that. Trying to stream to a box just to get to a different TV. You're better off buying a 50 to 100 foot HDMI cord and just plugging it into a TV, running the wires across the room. Let's see, if I do this, it's not going to do anything anyways. That's interesting, Evolve didn't change it. I'm gonna lose here. But there's this game. This is an interesting story, although it's kind of a pointless story too, because at the end of the day, the game is going to be attempted to be erased from history. There's this game called Landmark, which was a voxel-based building MMO that is being shut down after 3 months of its official launch. So that's quite a short duration there. And so that in itself is not super remarkable in video game. Well, in the video game world, yeah, games get released and then they spend forever in early access or in development, and then at the end of the day, because it's decided to be an MMO or something, they shut it down after 6 months of sales. Completely shut down the servers because nobody's interested in it, or they're not making any money of it. But what really comes out from this is that this failed game is from a spin-off from a failed EverQuest game. And on top of it being a failed game from a failed game, it's such a failed thing that they have already taken it off Steam, delisted it. There was some internal currency that they're saying you can use in other games by the same person, the same manufacturer, designer of the game, which I wouldn't ever trust them again. And the websites and forums and everything about this game are getting shut down on the same day. So just completely trying to erase from history this game. It's such a huge failure. And that is called Landmark. And I think it is almost a landmark in failure as far as the game. At the beginning on it, I've never heard of this game. The idea of having a voxel building MMO seems like you took voxels from, which is kind of just a fad that was happening, building, which is a fad from Minecraft, and MMOs, which have been a fad for a while now. The only real MMOs that are going to succeed are the World of Warcraft MMO And maybe if you call something like Overwatch something that's slightly different from an MMO, maybe you would include that. MOBAs are slightly different from MMOs, but yeah. If you're going to say a pure, massively multiplayer online where there's a bunch of people, a almost infinite number of people available in your available to play with each other, it really is just World of Warcraft. Maybe you could get an EverQuest Online to work. Maybe you could get a Final Fantasy Online to last. But you need some major big names there. Even things like Conan Exiles, I don't really feel is gonna succeed, which kind of sucks because Conan Exiles looks interesting. Like I was watching a video of their character customization, and the character you start off with is being crucified on a cross, and you're customizing the look there. And just the monsters that are worshipped as gods concept in a brutal world, it's definitely in for mature and gonna earn it, but you know, the whole concept of a let's see, I wish I didn't have this in my hand so I could toss this. There's a lot of good cards here.
For the gnomes!
But yeah, I wish they came out with a Conan single player game. That's kind of where I'm gonna enjoy playing Mad Max whenever I get around to playing Mad Max, is the fact that it's kind of an underlooked gem. It's got a few problems, but from what I've heard, it's actually quite a good game. Let's see, should I do this? Just completely discard my hand? See, the trade-off is so bad here. You get 10 mana crystals and then no ability to use them.
For the wild.
So maybe Conan Exiles will be successful enough that they'll take some of those assets and make a Conan single player game. I think there was a Conan single player game already, so it's kind of the other way around, maybe. What is this? Oh, yeah. I'm looking at my own terrible handwriting, which I've got to get better at that, definitely. Aliens were found / added to Elite Dangerous. I saw the video that it seems kind of suspicious that there was video of it, and it was a very cinematic video. So they were probably just sneakily added in the patch. They basically scanned the person who was there and then ran away and did nothing. So if you wanted something more to happen, you're not really gonna get that. Man, to play that Astral Command, I suppose you need a lot of really cheap cards in your deck. The aliens, I'm sure, will eventually get patched and add more to the game, but right now, seems like if somebody else ran into them, they really wouldn't do anything. And let's see.
What to do?
Yeah, I've got such little here. Like Shinmu HD was a URL domain was bought by Square Enix Europe, Sega Europe actually. Yeah, not Square Enix Europe. So they're probably gonna do a Shinmu HD while I play that game. Probably not interested at all in playing that game, honestly, but I know people will be.
Time is money, friend.
For the wild.
I'm gonna lose. See, I'm not getting victories here. Square Enix European Twitter was hacked, and apparently people were blocking, the people who hacked it were blocking and unfriending people on the Twitter account to apparently damage it. I think probably, unless you know that Twitter is doing a really bad job, which is not completely unbelievable, they would have at least some backups there, if not hourly, at least daily, of people who follow them. Dreamfall Chapters, which has been an episodic game, has decided to add a final cut and change it a little bit, and it's coming out to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So it's once more another one of those games where you have to wait till it's actually finished before you can actually play it, or you should wait. I think there was another game like that recently got similar things. Yeah, Deus Ex Mankind Divided, again, is one of those games that was buggy at launch, and it still may be slightly buggy, and now you get the pre-order bonuses for it for free just for owning the game. So anybody who gets into the game late now is definitely going to benefit from that. And then the final thing, I don't want to get into a crazy rant here, but I stumbled across, somebody linked it on Twitter, probably somebody I should block, a do-it-yourself guide to feminist cybersecurity. And I thought, well, maybe this is going to be a joke, because there's really no reason why a woman needs any more or different cybersecurity than a man or anybody else. And so I read the whole thing, and I was throughout the whole article, it's just like, this is just cybersecurity stuff. It doesn't even color it or change it in any way specific to women. I thought maybe what they were going to do was, it was going to be a joke and say, like, you should make your Facebook and Twitter private. You shouldn't have any friends. You should delete all your accounts and not talk to anybody, because if that way nobody hurts your feelings. Because there's certainly been some women out there that feel like they're getting cyber hacked just because people are criticizing their ideas on social media, and then they're asking Twitter to block these people and and all of that. And certainly when you start to act that way, that brings out people who see that you can be upset, and they're going to try and troll you, so then you just make it worse for yourself. And that's certainly, there's probably a nice way you could explain that, but no, that's not what it was. It was just security, and it's like, feminism is about, depending on who you ask, it's either about getting females more rights than every other gender, or if it's a more traditional feminist, it's about getting equal rights for all genders, which then that is just egalitarianism. And again, I don't want to get into a whole rant or argument about this, because certainly people will argue differently. But they're certainly stealing a topic here, whoever wrote this article, because it should totally have been just do yourself a guide to cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is important. Figure it out, whoever you are, and protect your accounts and protect yourself online. And don't make it into these fringe topics and arguments that have nothing to do with anything. And don't try to make silly arguments that feminists are more attacked online than anyone else. If anybody's attacked more online, it's going to be old people and rich people who are trying to get their people trying to steal their credit card info and all of that. Well, that's it for this recording session, I suppose. No progress at all. I'm probably just gonna sit back and relax and play all of this. I may even get frustrated with this and turn out one of these quests and see if I get something a little bit easier This is not the way I would want it as far as quests. Trying to get 10 wins can certainly take hours and hours and hours of effort in Hearthstone, and Hearthstone is still becoming a big time suck at certain times. The Gwent game side by side is going to come out pretty soon here, so I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people were super interested in it and I got a lot of views, I might be willing to maybe replace Hearthstone with Gwent, but I don't know. I still, in the end, unless I'm fully capable of abandoning my Hearthstone collection, all the cards I have, all the gold I have, for something that gives me way more views with every single game I play, I'm still kind of stuck here. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. I hope that helps out. If you want to support me further, go to my main YouTube page. On the right there's a button that says support this channel. Click it, make a donation. And if you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.